What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Talk Football. Before we get started, go ahead and make sure to like and subscribe. I'm here with Josh.
Hello, everybody. Hello, how are we all? I'm good, man. Good, man. Yourself?
Good. No, I'm good, man. Yeah, so today we're going to go ahead and have a little bit of a breakdown about Ten Hag, how we might line up, and we'll go over kind of just the transfers real quick because we haven't had Josh's opinion on a lot of these so far yet this over the past couple of weeks. So just kind of diving right in. Ten Hag is obviously trying to bring in a lot of Ajax players.
Yeah.
Which I find interesting. Obviously it's become very apparent that what he wants to do is bring in Ajax players, people who know his system, who already understand his philosophy.
Yeah.
And people that he doesn't necessarily need to bring up to speed as much. Hence why we're seeing links to, De Jong, Anthony Timber, even Ericsson.
Yep.
So I think that people kind of forget or didn't know. I didn't know this personally, that Ericsson had been doing some preseason training, getting back to fitness after the nightmare that happened at the Euros.
Yeah.
Underneath Ten Hag with the Ajax camp this last fall, and also Lisandro Martinez, which is obviously the defender that Arsenal are also going after.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to that, I don't know kind of your thoughts on, do you think this is the right approach towards getting in more members of kind of the same philosophy with the Ajax mindset?
Yeah. I mean, I think from the offset, it was going to be very hard to train the Man United current camp into the style, because we've shown that under Rangnick, who it's that similar style of tempo play, they just didn't want to, like, after 30 minutes against Palace or 35 or whatever it was, they went, no, this is not us. And I mean, after 2.5-3 years of that freestyle, you can call it, under Ollie, I don't think it was ever going to work. So I think for the style he's looking to bring in, you need reinforcements, and he needs some people in general who are comfortable with what the Ajax model is, whether it's total football or a variation of. That's yet to be seen. But having Ericsson, who's formerly Ajax, and Martinez, Anthony, De Jong, Donny's already at the club, so there is at least a spine there that can be utilized. And I think with some of the younger players, yeah, there could be a mini rebuild, a mini restructure. And I mean, there's class all over the field. There's no reason why they can't use a spine to at least bit part play what Ten Hag's trying to do as part of step one, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I kind of, this is what I've been thinking, and I've been talking to people over the past couple of weeks. I honestly do think that I understand how poorly we performed this season, but people have gone a lot out of United fans and our fan base basically saying, hey, look, your team's garbage. Basically, there's nothing there. You need to overturn every single player in that squad, where I don't necessarily think that's the truth. I think that there is, certainly for certain players, there is 30% more you could probably get out of them. Obviously, your Donnies of this world. I think Rashford, you could get 15%. Depends on what his attitude's going to be like, because I wasn't impressed with what he showed last season. But definitely Donny. Fred was already performing at a decent level. But then even looking at like a Lindelof, he's a good ball-playing center back. He's not the one I would get rid of, definitely. And then Luke Shaw, if someone can sort out his fitness, I think there's a player in there. I think there are certainly more talent. Obviously, Sancho and those guys as well. Like, that's Varane.
Yeah.
We already know that they're very, very good players, and there's lots of potential there. But I think there's certainly 20 to 30% you can get out of 4 or 5 players that you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I think out of everyone you've listed, I think Sancho will probably go quite seamlessly. He was playing, again, it wasn't the same model, but Dortmund do play a very fluid style, and that's exactly what the Ajax total football model is, like anyone playing anywhere, essentially. And we saw at Dortmund, Sancho played at cam, he played left, right. Sometimes he was sort of false nining it and centre forwarding it. So there is plenty of flexibility, but I'm excited to see Donny come back in and actually have a shot. And I think Fred is going, I hope Fred continues on like he did from last year. He's very hit and miss, but he also not being utilised properly. He's not being you see him playing for Brazil. He's playing box to box, and he's got a good touch on him. It's just he's not the sort of player to screen the back four, and he never has been. Now, the best thing I find when it comes, I guess, formation wise, even though it's only very fluid, he's played 4-3-3s or variation of throughout his time, and even a 4-2-3-1, which Oli employed, but that's more in a more attacking sense. So I'm excited to see what Fred can do, especially because even if we only get the one midfielder, and there's a rotation there between whether it's Fred, Donny, and Frankie or Ericsson, there's going to be a lot of competitiveness, and that can only spur them on. And I mean, I'm just hoping that we do get the reinforcements required, because otherwise it could be a longer process than expected, and the fans aren't patient enough for that, really, for the most part. We've seen it over and over again, but I think adaptability, especially in the signings that we got last time round, Ronaldo's Ronaldo. He'll score your goals wherever he goes. It's just a matter of the chance creation. So you create the chances, he'll put them away. At this age, he's still got a very good conversion rate. But look, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes right now. But I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, because I think it's the right sort of appointment. It's just how he utilizes what we've got plus the incomings.
So just like two questions. I'll just start with the one though. How comfortable would you be with, let's say, Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Donny, Frankie de Jong, and then either like a Garner or obviously someone else as our midfield for next season? Because I know Bruno's not really a midfielder, but he can be deployed there. When it comes to not Frankie, when it comes to Donny, I kind of think of him kind of in the same way. But that's kind of the first question. How would you feel with having those six? Let's just say we take Garner and we don't get another midfielder. And then the second question, just to add on to that, would be, do we need the DM? You know what I mean? Do we really need that once, if we get Frankie? But I think it's really more of a question of once at this point.
Yeah, well, that's actually quite a loaded question. I mean, it depends what sort of DM you're looking at, because you got the Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice mold, where they're good controlling the ball, they've got a decent passing range, but they're more of the enforcer style. And for what Ten Hag brings, I don't think that kind of DM, that profile of DM is really needed, because essentially these midfielders, they're pass and move. They basically, you could almost go toe to toe with Pep and Klopp with the fluid style. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily happy, but I'd be comfortable with that kind of midfield. I think one of the big things I'm looking for is someone to actually push Bruno, if that makes sense. Like I felt like he shadowed Cristiano a little bit too much when he first came in and tried to be, the guy. But I feel like he needs to control his play a little bit more. And I think if you've got again, like a Pogba, like whoever you're trying to unlock, if you have the right players around and actually, I guess, discipline play and trying to control the possession a lot more. Bruno's a lot more erratic and well, not erratic's not the right word, but he's very instinctive, spur of the moment. He'll see something and that's why they call it the Hollywood pass. It's like he might see something that the players around him don't see, and then he gets frustrated. But regardless of that, I think those in midfield, I'd be comfortable with it, but it's still not progressive enough for my liking, to be completely fair with you.
I definitely think that midfield is where we need to improve the most. And I think, like, I don't necessarily think we need Ericsson, but honestly, at the end of the day, I see Ericsson as a far greater asset to someone like Bruno, just in that Ten Hag sort of style of play, which is why I think that the reports are coming out. He's coming back from vacation on Monday. So whether we get him or not, we'll know on Monday, probably whether or not we're being rejected or wherever he may go. I think that if Tottenham comes in and puts that in a proper bid for him, obviously I think he goes there. But I also think that he would be a decent asset. It's just one of those things where we kind of have three players in that position. I'm just going to go ahead and bring up this point. Hey guys, what do you think? Why do you think Ten Hag is trying to create his own comfort zone at United? Do you feel he's a one-trick pony? I don't necessarily think he's a one-trick pony. I don't think we know a whole lot about Ten Hag. I don't think anyone knows enough about Ten Hag to know how good he will be at adapting his style over the course of a season. Forget the Premier League. I don't think we've seen that much of him at the top level, period, even at Ajax.
Yeah, I think the playing in the Eredivisie is the Dutch football in general is very similar across all of the teams. It's just Ajax just happened to have the best players and the best manager in that league to be able to dominate as he did. Now, but they showed in that, I think it was the 18-19 Champions League run, or maybe 17-18 when they went to the semis. They with that style and with the right players, it can take on the best in Europe. Now, I don't think I wouldn't say so much it's a comfort zone, but it's that you need reinforcements because he doesn't know who he can trust yet. He hasn't seen these players in preseason long enough. He doesn't know if some of the players on the roster are capable of playing this. I think there were some I don't know who I was listening to. It might have been United View with Flex and those guys. They had an Ajax fan, and they were asking this question about it. Well, is he just a one-trick pony, or is he adaptable? Now, the answers were he is quite stubborn, and he may not make too many changes if he thinks it's going to win the game, but he also has shown adaptability in formation changes mid-game, but essentially the play style has been quite consistent. But granted, it's garnered him some success, so why would you change it too much? So yeah, I wouldn't say it's a comfort zone. I just think it's getting the right tools for the job you need instead of having you'd sending the apprentice for a left-handed hammer, that kind of thing. It's not that deep, really. I just think he needs reinforcements to get it across. Yeah,
I definitely think it depends on what players he has and what they're capable of, which is why, I mean, I was talking earlier with a Liverpool fan, and they were basically saying, "Hey, look, I'm excited to have the preseason match July 15th or 13th or something, whatever it is. So am I. Even if we don't have the players in, I just want to see what comes out in the wash after 2 weeks of training. I just want to see kind of what we're looking at. And obviously, that's not going to be the be all and end all, but we might see a couple of youngsters get a chance and kind of show themselves a little bit. Your Hannibals and Garnachos and maybe even Garner, though I think he probably will go out on loan. I mean, he's got so much competition. Forgets McTominay. He's got to come up. He's got to come up trumps over a lot of very, very good midfielders. But then just kind of going on, because we're talking about personnel. If you have something for this, honestly, it's kind of been beat to death. But if you want to add something, otherwise we'll just move straight on. De Jong. It's just a stalemate, but I assume it's going to get done because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Let's just assume it gets done. How do you think that works out for us?
Well, yeah, you're right. It has been beat to death. I've given up on the transfer updates, to be honest, because it's just it feels like you're pushing shit uphill, to be honest. Excuse the language, but it's just like you gain a yard and all of a sudden it's breaking news. But anyway, besides that, I think he's probably the best product that's come out of that Ajax team in the last 5 to 6 years. 100%. Obviously, with Barcelona, with the attention that's been given to him, but I mean, it's an interesting one because he's been deployed wrong at Barcelona, according to a lot of people. And basically, he plays that box to box, but he also he fills up.
He's having fun.
Right,
it's all good.
He's having a ball. Yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
He's having a blast. All good.
They're all show offs, yeah, and that's all good. All good.
Superstars, future.
Yeah, exactly. In the making. That's right. Yeah, but it's he wasn't really played in the fluid midfield. Like the Barcelona team is very segmented there for previous managers. I know that Xavi rates him, well, at least publicly rates him and wants him to stay. Whether that's just paper talk to drive the price up, I don't know. But without seeing a lot of him play in the Barcelona, at least, I've seen more of him in Ajax, and he was crucial. Like I don't know, he's pre-sight, his foresight in playing passes, which is helped by the style and players being where they need to be. I just think he would be the flagship, if you will, to actually glue things together to have everyone on the same wavelength. Otherwise, Donny, he's been thereabouts. He hasn't really kicked off and made an impact. So I think it's crucial to have him in there to actually shore up the midfield in the way Ten Hag wants to, because I think that, as you rightly said, needs the most attention, having the right people there. So if it's a midfield three of, say, Donny, De Jong, and Bruno / Ericsson, you've got a lot of mobility, you've got a lot of passing skill. So there's something to work from there. Apologies, stumble me words there, but yeah, that's where I think on that one anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a fair few midfielders there who have been played out of position after they left Ajax. I think Donny is one of them, obviously, with United.
Yep.
I don't think Everton played him in the right position. I think he's a 10. He arrives late into the box. Yeah, he can drop deep and help if you're getting outnumbered. And both of those two players are very press resistant. Same with Ericsson. I think that it's kind of an interesting contrast to the players we currently have, where basically every single one of them is not press resistant. They give the ball away all the time and for no reason.
Exactly.
Now, whether that can be coached out of them or not, well, we don't know. We don't know at this point. Yeah. Did you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say there's also no body of work to suggest that it can be coached out of them. I mean, the McTominay, Fred sort of deep lying, McSauce, McFred, whatever you want to call them. It was very much we're just going to circle and hold back with our defenders to we're basically just overloading to make sure no one can get through without actually having sort of any defensive ability to actually help out. Now you could see the difference when, say, Pogba and Matic were linking up and having a good form between them. They actually had enough about them to actually progress the ball, whereas for McTominay and Fred, it was always just clear the ball, break up the play, rather than instigate anything moving forward. And I think with a press-resistant player such as as you mentioned, Donny, Ericsson, De Jong, I feel they have defensive attributes, but they're not to be used as a defensive player. So that's where the key difference will be in the tactics moving forward. So yeah, that's spot on, absolutely.
Yeah, they neither of McTominay or Fred, even though they're on their day, they're good at breaking up play. Obviously, Fred is quite a few levels above McTominay in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Just as a player in general, but also at breaking up the play as well. Neither of them can progress the ball, and neither of them have positional sense. They are meant to be played in front of a DM to break up. Like, ideally, what we would have is someone like a metronome sort of midfielder who can screen, Carrick-like player behind De Jong and Fred, because Fred can break up the play. Frankie actually has insane defensive numbers from an 8 position, which is outstanding. And then you have a couple players there who are press resistant, and then you just let Fred do his craziness and tackle people or bounce off people, depending on how big they are.
Chasing, I still remember him chasing down Adama Traore, and he ended up getting 5 rows back. It was comical, even though I'm a United fan. It's still, you have to laugh, otherwise you'll cry.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious. He went in and he tried to bring him down, and he was like, dude, you're not even there.
No.
Like, please don't even bother. All right, let's just go ahead and spin through the rest of these signings. We'll pull this up real quick. Is Frankie De Jong a leader on the pitch? He is a bit of bite. I think that's something that will impress people if he does come to United. He's not soft spoken. He certainly isn't, but he's also not Bruno, where he just complains all the time. Frankie De Jong certainly has something about him. Is he a leader on the pitch? Maybe. I mean, he certainly is trending that direction, and has been doing so since a young age. Actually, the gentleman might have said it. Were you talking about? I can't remember what his name is, but something Ix, who goes on The View all the time.
Yeah. His name's Ijax.
Ijax. Okay.
Ijax. Yeah. I didn't really hear too much about them talking about De Jong per se, but I mean, this I don't know. I'm trying to find the word. It's this sort of obsession with leaders on the pitch where it doesn't necessarily have to be someone that talks a lot, because I don't know what the obsession is, but they feel like everyone was, writing Maguire, rightly so, because he's not really a leader, but he's not vocal enough. He's not in the referee's face, where you don't have to be vocal and outgoing to be a leader. Like De Jong has class for days, and all he needs to do is just work with the midfielders, put in good performances, lead by skills and example, because it's not necessarily about the vocalizing. It's use your ability, back your ability, and he's got bundles of it. But it just helps that he's able to actually direct and vocalize the issues without being a whinger.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it where a player like Frankie De Jong, as well as players like Donny and players like, I wouldn't even say Ronaldo, Sancho, those are players who demand you're in the right pocket of space at the right time, because it makes their life easy. And the thing about playing with one of those players for an extended period of time is you already know when people are playing with Scholes or someone, not to go, harp on about history, people knew where to be because they knew where Scholes would pass. And therefore, over time, it was like, the player next to Scholes was always in the right position, but that's because they knew where he wanted the ball to go. And half the time it was just he gets in a position under pressure, he passes it off, gets it back, and then he can spray the ball. I think it comes with playing with those players for a while. Let's go ahead and just get through these transfers because they're all kind of honestly, they're all boring to me.
Oh, they absolutely. Yeah.
Antony, too expensive. We still want him. We probably want someone in the forward line. I'm more focused on our midfield, but what are your thoughts on Antony? Just real quick. Let's just skim through it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, that just basically fills another region of the park, region of the field, region of the team, whatever, to create this sort of spine. Because I feel like that's Ten Hag's aim. He wants to get an Ajax product in defense, midfield, and attack, and to create at least some sort of basis to have a ball progression through his play style. So I think Antony's a right winger for the majority of the or right midfielder for the majority of his career. So that seems to be a focus point that we're yet to fill, even though we bought all these players and still haven't seemed to fill the right hand side of midfield yet. So I think that's why he's probably touted to be coming into the club. Can't say I've seen too much of Antony, so not going to comment on what I don't know. But if Ten Hag wants him, then it's the adage everyone seems to have: back the manager, because he knows what he's doing. So why not? Yeah.
I personally think it's a year early, but at the same time, I think it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and bring him in. You know what I mean? I certainly don't think it would hurt. It depends on how much he costs, but I also think that we're kind of at that point where if Arsenal gets Lisandro Martinez, who is also here, where it's rumored that United are still keeping tabs on him, I think that's more like Ten Hag doesn't want him to go to Arsenal. So we're gonna, if we get this De Jong thing over the line and it makes sense to go for another defender, then we'll do that. I honestly don't think at this moment in time we can sign Martinez without selling at least one or two defenders. And on top of that, what was I going to say? If they do get Martinez, it makes Antony almost unachievable because I actually am not going to want to sell more players. They've already told us to basically put up or shut up. Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing. They've already had Gravenberch and someone else because already come and been bought out early.
Masraoui or
Masraoui, yeah. So naturally, they don't want to be pulled apart again. It's every 3-4 years like cycle. They have to construct an entirely new team. So I just feel like I feel like they just need to they should have got it done early. Any words?
I love that. Any words? Yeah, no strong links, huh?
No, no
strong links, huh, Dan?
Yeah, but that's the thing. Ajax are doing their business now. They go, all right, we've got a couple of our bigger players off the books. If you want our players, you're going to have to pay. And more power to them because the power rests with them. We should have got it done a lot earlier, and then the other clubs would have been stuck up for the price. So it is what it is. Yeah.
All right, Timber. It's not happening at this point. It's kind of like he wants the game time. We're not going to promise him, but also I think we just took too long. I think if we had acted really, really efficiently at the beginning of the window instead of saying let's get De Jong done before we start worrying about other positions, you guys. Instead of doing that nonsense, I think we could have gone Timber right away. I think that everything was on the table. I think he was convinced and he was ready to go. I think Louis van Gaal basically scared him off. I'm not going to blame Louis, by the way, because I don't think Louis was wrong. He has every right, especially as the Netherlands coach, manager, to say that. I think he has every right to also insist that his players are playing first team football. He did the same thing with Donny. He does it with everyone. But it is also disappointing that we didn't act more quickly in transfer.
And I feel like that's the thing that's infuriating fans the most. Like, I'm actually quite patient because, you know, there's situations that were beyond the control, especially with De Jong, Barcelona, the financials. Still doesn't mean that you don't at least try, make the effort. Like, as you said, everything was basically set up for Timber, and if we thanks, Dan. It's all good. Yeah. If we acted efficiently enough, everything was ready to go. But again, like you said regarding Anthony, like I feel like Timber probably needs another year or two as a main player, because, as you said, there's no guarantee for him to come to United and do that. So, I mean, Ten Hag probably would have given him the time needed, and especially with the links of outgoings, like Wan-Bissaka's looking at because he can play right back and centre back. So there would have been a little bit of room there for him to take up, and 5 subs, especially this coming season. Plenty of opportunity for plenty of players to get more minutes. So, but it's unfortunate because I would have loved to have seen him come in. Like, I think that's one of those signings that you're like, okay, we can make a statement with this, and yeah, big future ahead of him, but disappointing. Typical United. What else can you say?
If the season goes well, I would not be surprised to see Timber at United next season, or even like some form of agreement with Ajax to let him go at the end of the season after the World Cup, because it's January. You can always work something in there. But yeah, Timber is definitely something that we're missing out. But again, this is something that people don't realize, and I'm sure you realize it, Josh, but lots of people don't realize with those extra sub rules, the problem is we have a massive squad. We just have a massive squad full of SHIT. We're not going to be able to, there's no point on bringing them on. We might as well keep our, those 15 players on and not bring on anyone else. But speaking of the last one, Lisandro Martinez, I think it's more of a, hey, if we can't get Timber, we would like to at least have a dog in the fight for Martinez. I think we still need to offload defenders to get that over the line. And I think Timber would be too good of an opportunity for us to pass up. And then Martinez is someone that we're not super. I think it's more, that'd be more of not a panic, but he's not up there. He's not a first choice. So we need to sell in order to bring him in. I think where Timber would have gone, it's like, we'll just get you and then sell later. I just don't think we'll do that with Martinez. So.
Yeah, well, see, I think that's, if there's one thing I can maybe applaud the scouts and the negotiation teams and all of this, is that the aim seems to be going for your first target for each of these positions, and if not, having at least a steady backup. But now the fact that Timber's off the table and Martinez is going to cost even more than what was originally proposed for Timber, I think that's more of a, if we get, if we manage to knock 5-10 million off negotiations for 2 or 3 players and then have a couple of outgoings, he might be a late window signing. Whereas rather than just going, okay, we're not going to get our number 1 target, so we're going to panic and get maybe a number 4 target. So I feel like in that process, it's actually better. But yeah, we'll see once the end of the window comes. I mean, I'm just glad that it's not a panic stations as yet. So I feel like Martinez would be one of those. He's definitely not high on the priority list. So yeah,
he also seems very lightweight to me. I really rate his technical ability. By the way, I think he's very good on the ball. But when it comes to defenders in the Premier League, I don't think we need any more liabilities defensively. We need someone with pace, who's strong, who can put up a physical battle. We don't need any more logs with 0 pace, or who think they can play the ball, or players who can play the ball but just can't defend. Because then you're relying on an injury-prone Rafael Varane and a very hit or miss Victor Lindelof. To carry that team, and it just doesn't work. Ericsson, just real quick, we will know Monday. We were talking about this earlier in the stream. More than likely, every team that's in for him, I think he has like 8 offers on the table from various clubs. I think he does want to stay in England, probably in London. But we'll know on
Yeah.
Monday. I don't want to go too deep into it. I've said my piece. I think he'd be a great addition,
Mhm.
but we do have competition in that position. So I would like something has to be jumbled around. Erickson needs to drop into an 8, or Donnie needs to drop into an 8, or Bruno does, or someone needs to kind of be molded into a different position. But
Yeah.
just going by the midfielders we have right now, I'm not overly concerned if Ten Hag wants to try something a little different. So
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. You know, I mentioned the total football model earlier. Is that Donny and Frankie can play any of these midfield 3 positions, depending on what your formation is. Ericsson's the same. He played cam. He played as a 6. He played as an 8 in Milan and Tottenham, respectively. Like, these guys can fill the positions, and maybe it wouldn't hurt to have, you know, a specialist come in one of these roles. But I would love to see Ericsson. I rate the guy highly, and I've seen what he's done through Inter, what he's done at Tottenham previously. He class acts, can hold a ball, press resistant, beautiful passing range, and he can see things. And I feel like he would probably come in as a Bruno backup / competitor, possibly. That's a little bit lightweight in that position now that Lingard's gone and Pogba's gone. Like, not that he ever played there, but these options in the field, I just feel like it's too much of a leap down if we're going to rely on, say, a Hannibal Mabry or anything like that. So I feel like numbers wise, squad strength wise, he would be a very nice, very good signing. I'd love to see him come in, but there's also he's a very loyal type player as well. Like, there's every chance he could just stay at Brentford. You know, he doesn't want to. The rumors he doesn't want to move his family around. He's got a couple of his Danish teammates at Brentford as well, and he's close with I think it's Thomas Frank, the manager. So, you know, there's equal chance he could come to United. There's equal chance he could go to Brentford or Arsenal or whoever comes in looking for him. Tottenham have been linked, but I think that's more of a homecoming fairy tale kind of thing. I don't think there's been actual firm interest as yet. So we'll see what happens to that one anyway.
yeah, definitely not a whole lot of interest from Tottenham. They could always come in last minute. I think it's
Yeah.
more just Tottenham, and then the since he did play under Conte, but Conte never really figured him out. Anyways, never really unlocked him. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the most concerning thing for Ericsson at this point in his career, with
No.
all the things going on around his family and his health. Obviously, he's good health now, which is awesome to see. But
he's just glad to be playing, really. Like,
exactly,
not a lot of people come back from that. But, and you know, also his options are limited. There's quite a few European leagues that won't take someone that's got a pacemaker. Like, I think the Eredivisie has that, the Serie A has that, possibly.
that's why they couldn't renew him, because
Yeah, exactly. So that's another factor. So he's likely to stay in the Premier League. So hopefully it's with United, but we'll see.
fingers crossed. And just real quick, these are kind of the two that we just have on the back burner.
Yep.
Neves is obviously a backup to De Jong. I don't see us getting 2 midfielders. I kind of thought maybe that would not be the case later on. I could see Neves coming in if we failed at every other target, like literally every other target. And then Pau Torres is a club signing. Basically, what happened when Ten Hag came in was he saw the list that the scouts gave him from United, and he shredded it, and he said, I don't want any of your players. But Pau Torres would not. He probably said, I don't want any of your players, but Pau Torres, I wouldn't hate it. I just want my players, preferably. Right? He wants Denver, he wants Martinez. If he can't get either of those, well, you've got this good player from Spain who can play. You know, he's very good with his feet. Not very pacey, but okay. Like, I'll take him if I need to. But.
Yeah. There was a again, I forget who the channel was. I'd love to shout him out, but there was an interview with might have been Football Terrace. I'm not too sure. It was an interview with a Spanish-based reporter who talks about Villarreal, and basically saying that, you know, born and bred there, he would prefer to just be like the one club man. But, you know, if he gets to the only way he could leave is if he feels like he's gone as far as he can with the club. But I mean, quality player, don't get it wrong. I think he'd definitely improve the defense. Ideally him and Varane as a back, centre back too, would be perfect. Oh, hang on, it won't be a sec. Yeah, it's all good. Come on. Yeah, yeah. So YouTube Kids wasn't working for a second. Yeah, look, I'd love to see him come in, even if he's a club signing or not. We definitely need to bolster the quality of the defensive ranks anyway. But that's as you said, it's a back burner, so I can't see it happening.
Any real thoughts on Neves besides just kind of
probably probably just keep it short, just in a similar mold to Eriksson. I think he's a quality player and has a good passing range, but he would just be, again, for me, that's more of a club signing and a profile of a player that we need, but probably not too much for the Ten Hag style. So
I really do think that if we miss out on De Jong for whatever reason, which day to day, I mean, they're just spilling out reports that are hollow garbage, basically.
Yeah,
we got a decent update today, which actually had some credence, had some backing to it, but at the same time, it's all just kind of hollow garbage. If we end up with Neves and no De Jong, I think everything's a downgrade. So let's go ahead and just hop on these real quick. Twisted, why are United offering CR7 to other clubs? Doesn't Ten Hag fancy him? I don't think United are offering CR7 to anyone. I think Jorge Mendes might be on a little bit of a mission right now, shopping around some of his players to Europe, and a lot of that is being taken as he's being offered. Now, I will say this: I would not be surprised at all if Jorge Mendes directly did offer Cristiano to Bayern Munich, and I would not be surprised if Cristiano told him under wraps that if he can get him that move, please get him that move. So I think he is being offered, but it's definitely his agent, 100%. And then if you want to believe that Chelsea report from today, the Bowley inquired about him. Bowley was already having a meeting with Jorge Mendes, as he does, as we had with. This is where you get the Neves and Nunez rumors from. United talked to Jorge Mendes 4 weeks ago. So that's where those rumors come from. I know United is definitely not the one offering him, though.
No, I although if Ronaldo feels like, I mean, Ronaldo's Ronaldo. If he feels like he isn't going to be in a successful squad, he's only got limited years left, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's outspoken and he always says how it is, but he's earned that right. He's a goat, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did decide to leave. But I mean, he's come out and said that he wants to stay for another year. So you can only take it at their word. I'm not too sure about these rumors. I mean, you see all these reports about agents on planes going direct to London or Manchester or whatever. So that must mean this player linked with them is going to that club, where it could just be another player for another negotiation. Like it's all paper talk, and I don't really pay attention to it until something happens. Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, and then he would have to be insane to not think about it, to not at least think about his future. He's a top professional. He's goated as one of the best of all time. So it'd be ridiculous to not think about it. Hakeem Ziyech, get the game back together, because he is phenomenal in the Premier League and can definitely keep up with the pace, as we've seen. He's definitely a top tier technical player that any team would be fortunate to have. 0 injuries throughout the course of his career. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's obviously sarcasm from Dan, but
of course. I mean, I think it's one every 10 games he does a worldie assist, and maybe bulge the net and top bins once every 20 games. No, thank you. Moving on.
Moving on. So this is one that I want to go into before we go into kind of the last segment, which is looking at the spine. What players, like what youth players do we think we might incorporate, especially during this preseason? Who might perform? Who are we kind of looking at, just in your opinion? And also, what players will we bring back, if any? Because I think we only have one real player to bring back. No, we have 2. We have Laird, Mengi, and then Garner. And then there might be some other ones that I don't think will ever make it in. I don't know if Galbraith went somewhere or something, but I don't think he'll ever make it in. So, or I'd love it.
Yeah, well, I can't say I know a lot about the youth, but I mean, the name's always being touted are Alvarez, isn't it? Got some guy Alvarez in the youth ranks, and this Garnacho.
We have like a Fernandez or something.
Fernandez might be Fernandez.
From like Real Madrid. We got him like 2 years ago and stuck him in our academy.
Yeah. There's the regular names that are touted. I personally, when it comes to Garner, I'd like to see him go back to Forest for the year, to be honest. Get a year of Prem under his belt, because that leap's huge. But Hannibal, I think Hannibal could be in the reckoning. He came on and showed reckless energy in that Liverpool game for the 10 minutes.
He was a
Gun,
little really reckless in the
yeah, he
Crystal Palace
was.
game. He almost got himself sent off, as
Yeah,
Twisted can tell
exactly.
you because we argued about this in Discord.
Yeah,
And
right,
I
right,
was like,
right.
"No, you're right. He was being a little bit of a prat."
Yeah, but I mean that's probably just the energy that they need sometimes. A little bit of shit housing would never hurt anyone unless it's an injury. But look, I'd like to see Hannibal given more minutes. Garnacho, I think there's a lot of talent there. I've seen, but we've still got Twenzebi has know what's going on with him. There's Palestri and Ahmad, who I don't know what's going on with Palestri. He's been loaned out to Deportivo and someone else over the last couple of seasons. So I want to see probably by the second or third preseason game a more sort of concrete lineup in those games to maybe give an idea of what's happening coming into the season. But I'd like to see, probably above all of them, I'd like to see Palestri and Diallo actually be given a run in the team, because these guys came highly touted when they were initially signed. So yet, barely see anything from them. And the other guy, Alenga, I think, maybe a rotation with the wingers. You got your 5 subs, so that could be a thing. But youth, it's very hard to say because we don't have a body of work to really go off either. So
I think that would be interesting. I think it would be very interesting. So, like, out of all the youth, I'm not going to run through all of them. I'll leave out like Elanga and those. We have quite a few options, and I think our most sellable assets are the ones who are performing over in Spain, like your Palestris. Not even in Spain. Palestri, Diallo. I don't think we can really sell him at this point, but Palestri has been improving. Has been he's Uruguay, right? I think he's Uruguay.
Yeah, you're Uruguayan. Yeah.
He's been showing a lot of himself over there during the international break. I'm not incredibly impressed, but a lot of people have been. Garnacho has had a lot of faith put in him from Argentina. Yeah. They really like him. The coach was waxing lyrical, and then Messi said good things. But wait, are you just not going to say good things? I mean, like, you're one of the biggest footballers of all time. Like, obviously, you're just going to promote your own youth. Laird, I don't think can make it into the team. Mengi, don't think he can make it into the team.
No.
On Zabi, I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Garner's really the only one I see breaking in. Truly breaking. I think we'll have a lot of good young talent though on the bench playing in cups with Hannibal, who's shown he's a good player. He's still lightweight, but he's also so young. I think Garnacho will definitely play. Tire might play. And then Elanga is always an option. And I always forget about Elanga, but he's not the worst player to have. He's a hard worker. He's just pretty much your bog standard right winger. He's nothing special, but he'll be a Premier League level player for years to come. Maybe bottom half of the table, but it's not bad to have on your bench.
No, that's right. I mean, as long as because he gives me Jesse Lingard vibes, to be honest, but not in the forever young kind of way. It's more of the he's just he's got 2 sets of lungs. He can get about the pitch all game, and he'll get you an assist and a goal every few games. And yeah, he showed with the run last year that Ralph gave him that he can at least compete level. Whether, as you say, whether he's just bog standard or he can actually, maybe get something more about him. But I think he's pretty one dimensional. So, but yeah, he's the least of the concerns in the team, to be completely honest.
Can score important goals as well. Scored against Atletico Madrid.
Yep.
Scored a couple other good goals in big moments. All right, let's do this. Just a little exercise. Out of this list, we have De Jong, Anthony, Timber, Lisandro Martinez, Eriksen, Neves, and Torres. Those 7 players.
Yep.
Which 3 would you take? Which 3 are the most important? And then we'll go over and kind of just go over our spine real quick before we end.
Yeah, too easy. All right. Well, for me, it would be Frankie. That would be my first. Anthony, because I do want to see more depth and quality on the wings. Yep. And as much as I don't want to neglect the midfield, I rate Eriksen too highly. So I think 2 midfielders and a winger in that regard. So Eriksen, De Jong, and Anthony. Yeah, I think that'll provide good numbers and quality numbers too. So yeah, and achievable.
Yeah, and you know, 3 players makes it much more achievable to get this done this summer.
Yeah,
To get just those 3. If we're looking at 4 or 5 players, then we need to kind of be looking elsewhere.
yeah.
The Ericsson one is tough for me, so I'm going to differentiate. I'm going to have this difference with you.
All right.
Ericsson on a free is an absolute steal. I would take him
Exactly.
every day of the week, but I
Yep.
got to go with, and this is a dream. And like I said, I don't think we do this. DeYoung, Anthony, and Neves, because we do have defenders, we have personnel there. We need someone with positional sense in that midfield that could play
Yeah.
along. Just looking at it right now, I'm in my mind's eye thinking about McTominay playing with Frankie De Jong, and McTominay, Frankie De Jong having to get himself out of situation after situation where he has to turn with the ball and beat 3 players, and he never
Yeah.
has that pass on to help him drop a move. While McTominay is hiding behind a number 9, and
Yeah.
he's having to do everything on his own. I just can't get over it. And problem with Fred will be there 50% of the time, but you never know where he'll be. He might be there. He might be there. He might be over there. He might be like
Yeah.
no positional sense. Half the time he'll be all the way up the pitch or in the wrong place behind. So like that's my biggest issue. So yeah, that's Ericsson is a steal. I think that's obviously way more likely. But if I could
Yeah.
take those 3 players, 5 out of 10 transfer window, and I think I'm not feeling super positive right now. So I would take a 5
Fair
out of
enough.
10 transfer window and then just see what Ten Hag can do.
But see, and that's the thing though. I find with the linked and most likely players, they're all of similar mold anyway. So it's not like you're sacrificing a lot of quality. You say Neves instead of Ericsson. They're both still quality players, and they both have a lot about their game. So I don't think in whatever situation, whatever alteration that you want to have in the selected players, you're not losing too much quality, and it's all, and it literally will improve United no matter who of those you bring in. So it's all for the positive. I'd probably call it more of a 7 out of 10 window, because mainly the deliberating and the monitoring FC has been the biggest thing. Kicking the can down the street's been a pain in the ass yet again.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think, and I honestly, I just have to say, I do think that what we're missing from that is getting equality in defense, which can wait. It can wait. I really don't want it to wait, but it can wait till next summer, trying to get Timber or someone of similar status, and then a number 9. So, but we're not missing a whole lot else. McTominay can come off the bench and just disrupt play in the last 10 minutes of games, 20 minutes of games, and he is good in the air, decent in the air. His positional sense, again, isn't that great, even on corners, but he does get his head to a fair few of the balls coming in. Does that list of players you mentioned fill you with confidence? No. I mean, yes, but no. It's more about who we're actually going to get from that list. My main problem is the opportunity to get these players is very quickly diminishing our percentage of chance. So does the list of players look there? De Jong, Anthony, Timber, Martinez, Ericsson, Neves, Torres, all good players.
Yes.
All good players within their own right. So does the list out of like on a Liverpool level or a City level? No, it's not amazing, but where we're at right now, we're shopping in tier 2 of the market. So
exactly.
And if we get De Jong, we somehow got a tier 1 player, which is about as good as we could possibly hope for. So no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. I just think this is sort of where City were about 4 or 5 years ago, before they, well, no, probably 6, 7 years ago. Like, once it's that pre-tier before you can actually shot back at the top end of society. Like, we're in a situation where we're looking at a Grealish in a Villa kind of situation. So unless there's a guaranteed free, there's going to be a world class player. I can't see us doing too much higher than that, to be fair.
No, neither can I. Never actually used this before. Let's just save it for now and go through this real quick. So with our team, the players that we have just chosen, what does our team look like? We'll just go ahead and agree or disagree and move on, make compromises on this. De Gea in goal?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, no question.
What do you think about, just pick a center back?
Varane for me. A fit Varane would be included every week.
Yeah, if he's fit, he's definitely included every week.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about that. I'll just go with right back real quick so I can think about the other center back.
Yep.
Just Delo right now. I mean, that's what we have. Obviously, this is just
Yeah.
going off. We're not buying anyone in defense, so it's gonna be pretty obvious for us to put together this defense ultimately. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There could be, well, Wan-Bissaka's shown that he's not that level. So yeah, Dallo's all we have, unless a leaps and bounds Ethan Laird can come in, but there's question marks over that anyway. Yeah, Dallo.
It'd be really nice to see Laird get a chance at preseason and just tear it up, but
yeah,
I think it's going to be too soon. So yeah,
100%.
What do you think? Left back or left center back?
I'll go left back. I think it's probably Tellez, unless Luke Shaw can get another tune out of himself. He doesn't seem to have the sustained motivation, but I think for what Ten Hag's trying to achieve, I think as much as he died in the ass last season, I think Tellez will be the one that'll be in left back.
Really? Yeah, I think that's surprising. I really hope someone needs to get shot. It's just so hard to get someone with his. I don't know. It must be mentality at this point. You can't do this year after year, season on season for 7-8 years without having a major mentality issue.
Yeah.
My friend, we haven't signed anyone yet. This is just we're just going through this and kind of thinking about it before our hopes and dreams fall to pieces.
That's right.
So there you go. So nice one. But yeah, no, welcome to the channel, by the way.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah, left back. So I would have gone with Shaw just because I think that there's more there, but at the same time, he's just not doing it, is he?
Yeah, but it's a lack of options, though. It shows we're arguing over who's more pathetic than the other one, or less pathetic to join the team. The other centre back.
Yeah, we haven't signed anyone yet. Tranquility.
No.
What I was gonna say. Left center back. Shoot.
Yep.
I don't even think it's a case of which side you play on. I'm never gonna put Maguire in there.
No,
that is bad, bro. I'm putting Lindelof in there 100% of the time because Varane is not good on the ball, and neither is Maguire. So I'm putting Lindelof in there. You have pace with Varane, and obviously the injury concerns are an issue. But then you also have the ability to bring the ball to the back and kind of go into midfield with whoever is sitting, which Ten Hag likes. So I can see. I don't know if he wants him now, but I wouldn't be surprised if after preseason Ten Hag kind of goes, "Okay, Lindelof, you're one of my guys." I wouldn't be surprised at all. But.
Yeah, I mean he's been very hit and miss, obviously, over his time here, but he's always shown that ability to maybe even get past a player that's just pressing him and do a crossfield ball, switch the play, find a winger, and then instigate something, or even a 10-yard pass to a Bruno to cut out the midfield. He's shown he can do it, not consistently, but I think with a decent structure, it can definitely be an ongoing thing. So the best of a bad bunch, definitely Lindelof. So I'll agree with you there, definitely.
All right, into midfield. I'm just going to fill this one in, then you get to pick two.
Yep.
Because I chose Neves, so we have a little cheat. It looks like we're getting 4 players in this summer for the sake of our spot. I'm putting Neves in there. I'm putting Neves in there as not necessarily the holder, but the furthest back in the double pivot.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with that. Yeah, I'll probably say Frankie De Jong is the other one, sort of as the box to box semi defensive minded in transitions, especially. And then probably go.
No, I definitely think that the double pivot works well enough in a Ten Hag system because they both do have positional sense. They both are pretty press resistant, especially Frankie's exceptionally press resistant.
Yeah,
not a whole lot of pace in there, not a whole lot of defensive cover, but there is press resistance and there is positional sense and the ability to pick the ball up off the top or off the back four rather. Like,
well, see, that's another I think overrated thing that you need from midfield. You don't need to have lightning pace or even moderate pace. Like, positional awareness can actually cover for your lack of physical prowess, as it were. Because the midfield in the Ajax teams are not exactly blistering fast. They're just well oiled and they know where to be at the right time, and that can be more effective than having 5 yards of pace to out sprint someone. Just that positional, these things sort of go hand in hand. So I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing if we don't have a super quick midfield, or even super quick defenders. To be honest, as long as you pick your run at the right time, you can cover ground surprisingly quick. Look at Harry Kane, for example.
No, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like even in that position, obviously Carrick was always a little bit further back. Carrick was very underrated in the fact that people think he wasn't a physical player. He was exceptionally physical. He was just also way smarter than everyone else on the pitch. Was always able to break up play, always be in the right position. The amount of interceptions he got was staggering. Like there were games where he had like he'd go like a month averaging like 8 interceptions a game, 8, 10, 12 interceptions. It was ridiculous. Like half the time he just didn't need to tackle. And the fact that he didn't go to ground was not because he was weak. It's because he always got a foot in before he needed to do so.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how that goes. What are we looking at? You have one more pick out of the front 4.
So we're doing a midfield 3 or a midfield 2 or what? You
midfield? He likes a 4-2-3-1. We can play a 4-3-3, but
they're all just variations of each other, really. But
I always say that, and people get me over it. No,
that's right. Well, because the graphic, FIFA or your pre-match stream or whatever, you have the graphic of where the players are located, but that's the way they take up the field and the kickoff. The rest of it's just fluid. But I'm still going to say Bruno, even if we get Eriksen in. I'm still going to say Bruno because I feel like being surrounded with better and more technically proficient players will actually help him out. But it's a 50-50 shout. I mean, I just be just as happy to say Eriksen will play as sort of a 10 or an 8, and sort of depending where the transition to play is. But yeah, I'll either of them. You can pick one if you want, but I'll just say Bruno to fill the numbers.
You saved Bruno because I certainly wasn't putting him in there. I was taking him straight out for either one. It's fair enough. No, and I've Bruno's Bruno. Like you either love him or hate him, and I don't mean on like I hate Bruno or I love Bruno. I mean like on his day you love him. When it's not his day, you just can't stand him because he gives the ball.
That's right. Exactly.
Every other the assist for Zaha in the final game of the season was spectacular.
World class.
The first thing you learn in that position, which I guess it's not his position, but I played 8 in a 2 when the 4-4-2s were popular in a 4-4-2 diamond. And the first thing you learn in that position is whatever you do, no square passes, no blind passes. And he does both of them off of a throw-in. Like that should never happen at the professional level. I don't care where you play on the pitch. Left wing Sancho, 100%. He's obviously got the most technical quality in our attack. He's going to be a player that Ten Hag loves. He's very much that
100%
sort of player that he likes. Inverted, so he's got his right foot, so you can play off of that side. He can also go down the line. He's good enough with his left foot. We've seen enough times this season, even though it didn't always pay off. He can obviously beat him, and he doesn't have the most pace. But I think if we get things right and Ten Hag gets a system instilled in the team, we will be playing a pretty high line, and he won't need all that pace. He's very, very tricky. So I think that's a very, very good option. I
just think that's another example of you don't need to be super quick to actually be quick. It's
sorry, just real quick. But we'll get to these comments in a minute. By the way, guys, we just don't want to kill the direction of the show, which I just did. Go ahead. Sorry, finish up your thought, Jeff.
Oh, hypocrite. No. The who was it? I think it was someone that turned over Fernandinho in City. Who did that? He put the ball through his legs and he ended up turning him around. I forget who.
It was Vinicius.
Vinicius. Like I know Vinicius is blistering, but that's very much that's a very Sancho thing that can happen. Like if he's getting pressed by someone, all you need to do is just touch the ball and then touch the ball and turn, and all of a sudden they're 5 yards behind you, and you don't need to put it on the floor to actually get away from them. So yeah, it's good to see. I think Sancho's due a very big season, to be honest. That the troubles this year obviously disrupted everyone, and I feel like he'll take off with a technically proficient manager finally.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree with that. Right winger striker. Go for it.
We also talking about people that we're linked with, the potential signings, because I'm going.
So I put Neves in, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, then I'm going to go Anthony Ronaldo. Plain and simple for me. Unless of course, I would say Alenga, but I think he's more of an off the bench player and a cut player still at this point, just for the level he's at. I'd love to see Palestri. I'd love to see Palestri come back in and see what he can actually be made of. Now he's had a couple of years of senior football elsewhere, a little bit more cultured, a little bit more experienced, but the Prem's still a different beast altogether. So yeah, Anthony Ronaldo for this current point in time.
Yeah, I think that's easy enough. It'll be very interesting to see what happens in the preseason. Excuse me. Seeing what players Ten Hag puts out, because we'll be playing two separate teams, obviously against Liverpool. I'm sure Klopp will be doing the exact same. I'm sure Dan can testify to that. I mean, basically every team does it, but I'll be very interested to see by the end of preseason who's still getting played. So interesting to see how they perform.
Yeah,
the new system with only 2 weeks training, and to see how who actually gets taken along with the first team, who gets to stay in first team training and who's dumped back down into the under 23s. Yeah, but no complaints. I agree with you. I think that's about as good as we can hope for right now. 4 signings would be amazing, but I think those 3 signings from each of us are both respectable.
I think that's probably the window we're going to be looking at anyway. I think 3, with the budget, I think they said it was around 150, but it's different reports wherever you go. But I mean, you'll be lucky to get 3 players. Maybe Ericsson could be a 4th if he hasn't made a decision. That's a free, so that's pretty easy to get over the line based on if you convince him enough. But yeah, it was never going to be a FIFA career matter. It was never going to be 6 players out, 10 players in. It's going to be a 2 to 3 season process. So yeah, it is what it is.
100%. We can go ahead and get into these comments now. Are you happy with the current United fullbacks? We certainly said we are not. We are not happy at all with any of the fullbacks. Not even one of them. Ethan Laird is going to have a stormer this season.
I hope so.
I hope so, man. Tranquility, if you're still here, how are you not going to play Bruno? He's one of your best. Is he not? Well, that's certainly what Josh thinks.
I will say it's a week by week prospect. I'm only just saying it for I'm not sure if we're going to get Ericsson, and I view Ericsson more as a Bruno replacement. But I mean, yeah, well, he'll play. He plays most games anyway, but I want to see a bit of rotation.
He's certainly not a bad player to have in your side. It's nothing personal against Bruno. He just, I look at how he ended the season, and I think maybe recency bias is really skewing my opinion. But I've also watched him now for years. Like I said, he is a 2 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 player. He's either the worst player on the pitch or the best player on the pitch, and I can't stand it. You need consistency. Anyone who says Bruno is world class, he absolutely is not, because if you are world class, you perform consistently, game in, game out, week by week. There's no other way around it. Still love him for what he can do, but in the same way I loved Pogba, because Pogba was the best player on the pitch when he wanted to be, and Bruno should be held to the same standard. All right, Josh, I think good little stream. We were kind of short notice, but I think that we definitely nailed it as far as we wanted to with the topics at hand, and we should probably catch up and try to do this again here in a few weeks, maybe for the Liverpool game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you're going to have I don't think we can access the streams unless you're an MUTV member, because I think they broadcast all the preseason. Might have to part with a bit of cash to be able to actually watch it. Not that I want to give them money, but there's no alternative streaming. Alternative viewership options.
This is a little guilty thing that I keep from most United fans, and now I'm saying it on the internet. So there you go. That's the only time I pump any money into United is for preseason. It's like $10 over the course of 2 months. Take it. I'm not buying scarves. I'm not buying any merch or anything. So
no, exactly.
Not promoting the club in any other way. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining in. This has been Talk Football. Make sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate you guys hopping in the chat. It's always an immense help. And we have another stream. Dan and I will be back on Monday. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the next one will be Monday with Dan and I. Not sure what we're going over yet, but we'll get that going. And then we'll have Wednesday, Friday, and then maybe something on Thursday, I believe. So yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, like and subscribe, and ciao. Appreciate it.